Good evening, everybody. It's a Thursday. That's right, it's a Thursday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Beyond Ringside's radio network. Welcome to our live debut edition of Corner to Corner right here on Beyond Ringside's radio network. It's me, Stan Grubb. Glad to be with you for another hour of fun and excitement, or just, a little bit of chatter and listening to the dulcet sounds of me smoking a cigarette while I decide to broadcast.
You get to smoke indoors?
Joined tonight by a good, close personal friend, member of the Class Act Club. Honestly, truly a good guy, just all-around knowledgeable guy that I really have learned quite a bit from. Fast Eddie Layne is joining us tonight. Eddie, how are you?
Wonderfully well. You get to smoke inside your place? Damn.
One of the benefits of bacheloring it up, as glamorous as that isn't, is for the short term I can, but ultimately my goal is to quit smoking. So it's a stupid idea to pick it back up in the first place. I think this pack that I have here in front of me is probably going to be my last one after a while. So that's what we're working on. In the personal realm, how's everything in good old Alabama? You guys are going to see any snow this weekend?
I was about to ask you the same thing, because aren't y'all supposed to get hammered up in Virginia?
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or so, they're saying it's going to start dumping snow. We're supposed to get about 3 to 5 inches. Then in the overnight, we should see another 6 to 10. And then on Sunday, we should see the remainder. They're calling for a grand total of about 30 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. I mean, because D.C. is supposed to be getting somewhere around 2 feet also.
Yeah, Snowmageddon 2, I guess, is what we could call this. Or what's the storm called? Jonas?
Yeah. I don't know if it's Nick or
Jonas
Joe.
Brothers strike again.
Yeah, I know. As if they didn't chill out the music scene enough the first time around. Now they got to script the weather. Actually, let me go ahead and say this one, and I'm sure I speak for you on this one, but I do want to go ahead and get this one out. I saw a video yesterday of a pileup, just vehicle after vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. I believe it was up in Michigan, and I believe it's recent. Folks, when your Department of Transportation for your state says, please stay off the roads, they mean that. If you've got a four-wheeler, that's great. If you got a dog sled, that's great. If you got wings, where'd you get them? I want a pair. Other than Victoria's Secret, don't even talk to me about that. Taylor Swift screwed that up for me too. But when your Department of Transportation, when law enforcement, when state government says, please stay off the roads, they say that for a reason. And if you're crazy enough to try to get out there when it is snow and ice, whether it's black ice, all of the above, please err on the side of caution and be careful.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't know what you're doing when you're driving out there, don't go. Don't drive. Stay home if you can. Stay warm. Stay safe. Hopefully you went to Walmart like everybody else in America, apparently, and cleared out the shelves of bread, milk, and eggs. Really? Of all the things you want during a snowstorm, bread, milk, and eggs.
Shoot, I go down the soup aisle.
Me, I'm more of a Hot Pockets kind of guy until the power goes out. And then it's whatever's within reach. Then it's all bets are off.
Then I got you on this one. Actually, do you have a Sam's Club close to you?
I do, actually. Yes, sir.
Okay. I found the coolest little thing at Sam's Club. It is a butane single-eye cooktop. And the canisters are inexpensive. They put out a great heat. And in a power outage circumstance, like I said, it's got an eye on the cooktop where if you know how to maneuver different things, you could actually cook different things on this. I mean, anything from soup to scrambling eggs to heating up a sandwich. I mean, you could actually do a skillet steak on this thing if you have one ready to go. Hamburgers, hot dogs. I mean, you can do a lot of things on this eye. And the apparatus itself is around $27 down here. I don't know what it would be in your neck of the woods, but for us, it was around $26.82. I bought 2 of them. They have the butane containers, 4 per pack, around $5.60. And believe me, they will save your butt. They're great for camping. They're great for the preppers out there, all the conspiracy theorists. I'm right along with you. I'm prepping too, kids. But as far as a power outage or something like that, hey, dude, you can't beat this thing because it will cook, and it will cook quick.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of those in Walmart. They're all lined up and ready to go. We have, for me, tomorrow night, my place of employment was nice enough to set me up in a hotel to make sure I can get to work on Saturday.
Yeah,
Isn't
there you
that
go.
nice of them? Still got to make the drive into town to get to it, but hey, why not, right?
Hey, there you go.
So, corner to corner is to kind of make our Beyond Ringside folk a little bit more familiar. It's just basically me chattering about everything. Wrestling, of course, it's kind of the primary focus, but I guess I've coined the phrase, it's more of a life cast because nothing is really off limits. We keep it relatively clean because, that's a job for other shows. We do a lot of different things here, but for the most part, it's just general chatter. You're going to find that it's a lot of rambling because I'm good at that. And if it wasn't for me loving the sound of my own voice, I don't think I would know how to do this. So let's take a look at the week that we're almost out of. Of course, the snow is very prevalent on everybody's minds, especially up in the Northeast. And somewhat down towards South Carolina, I think, is about where the line is starting to edge off. And as we were talking about, if you don't have to get on the roads after this whole thing starts, please stay home, stay safe. If you've been watching Monday Night Raw and WWE programming as of late, we are headed to the Royal Rumble in just a few days. It's an exciting time for me. The Royal Rumble has always been my favorite event of the year because there's always that sense of unpredictability. Who could show up? Who could be the next man in kind of thing? And especially right now, because when we look at the WWE's landscape and their roster, the injured list is almost longer than the active list. So there's a lot of questions as to who's going to make their debut, who will come out with the World Championship, which is really an interesting way to put it out there. Roman Reigns coming out with the title right now is probably the predominant prediction, unless, of course, you're kind of like me and thinking you might actually see a dark horse come out with the title just to do a reset or shake things up as they head to WrestleMania, especially with some of the now very rumored and probable signings that have happened. You don't see somebody's face on Instagram from John Cena's Instagram account and not start thinking maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. And of course, I'm alluding to the one and the only phenomenal AJ Styles, whose face was just recently, as of today, seen on John Cena's Instagram account. Go figure. John Cena and AJ Styles. I don't know. The thing about AJ Styles debuting is a big, big thing for WWE fans. It's a big thing for AJ Styles fans, but it really does have to be done correctly. So many times when a debut happens, it's pomp and circumstance, and then it just fizzles out very, very quickly. People can look at the debut of Lex Luger in WWF. You can look at the debut of, well, honestly, you could look at the debut of Dolph Ziggler when he first came out. Had it not been for his perseverance, I don't know that Dolph Ziggler would have really survived. It's just a rare kind of thing. Look at Taz. When he debuted, big moment. But did he get really the push, as we say, that we were really expecting? With the Royal Rumble and the air of unpredictability that we could be seeing, while a lot of people that are predicting Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns kind of tossing bodies to get at each other, which is feasible, and honestly it could be entertaining to see, it's also one of those things where we may end up seeing something different, where we could see them take each other out and have more of a grudge match, say at Fastlane, and see a new champion entirely debut. I'm in the camp of seeing the Bullet Club make their debut, a strong debut at Royal Rumble, and possibly coming away with the title. Now, some would call it a stretch. I think if you're really truly looking to shake things up like Triple H and Vince appear to be wanting to do, and also giving it a real fast influx of talent and excitement, I think that's where you go with this. But the one thing that I did notice at the end of Monday Night Raw was the very, very strong showing of the Wyatt family. And maybe what we're not witnessing or not realizing that we're witnessing right now is the rising of Bray Wyatt. To me, when you look at Bray Wyatt and when you look at everything he's done up until now, he really has been holding his own, but he's definitely floundered a bit because of, and a lot of people would say that it's because of a lack of willingness from the powers that be to put him over in a big, big way. Some would say that it's more of a concern to, what can he deliver in a big match setting. Some even think that he's more treated like The Undertaker, where he's a special attraction and you don't necessarily have to give him a major role in the company, which it kind of depends on what school of thought you subscribe to. But for me, I think that we may have actually witnessed yet another possible winner, and it's not Chris Jericho, by the way. I'm not sure where he gets that whole I'm a top contender to win the title and win it all, but I'm not seeing that. Eddie, where do you stand on that?
With Chris Jericho, I have a tendency to agree with a lot of people out there saying it's great to see him back. I enjoy every time he cracks the curtain and every time he picks up the microphone. I don't see him making that run to WrestleMania. I don't see him as cannon fodder. Thank you, Andy Hudson, wherever you may be. But I see him as a viable force and a pure entertainer in the WWE. I just don't see him making that full-scale run to the heavyweight championship one more time. I think that, if nothing else, they may put the Intercontinental title back on him for an unprecedented 10th time. But the main strap, I don't think Jericho can make the long enough commitment physically to be there that long.
Yeah, I mean, it's for Jericho, the interest from the fans, I just don't think it's there anymore. He's certainly a star. I don't mean it in a disrespectful fashion, but just because he's a star, doesn't necessarily mean the fans are interested. Batista was a star, and when he came back, it was
different.
Yeah, it was really different. No, it was really different.
Big time different story there. Because when Batista came back, there was all the outward hullabaloo that they were going to fast track him right back to the title. And the IWC, God love it, pretty much rebelled. And with Jericho, they're not giving that kind of hype. They're not spouting that kind of hyperbole. It's just, Chris Jericho, hey, I'm here, let's have some fun. Because remember, Jericho's never really been one of Triple H's boys.
Right.
Batista's one of Triple H's boys. Therefore, Batista, of course, like I said, and the big hullabaloo was Batista was going to main event Mania and get the world title back one more time. That way, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion could have the direct tie into the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and everything else that he was doing at the time. I'll tell you the truth. I would rather see Batista get that push now with the way that he portrayed his character in Spectre. Much better.
I haven't had the opportunity to check out Spectre yet, so I don't really have a whole lot of familiarity with it.
It is well worth it.
I will have to check that out. The other thing that I noticed about with them building up to the Royal Rumble is the crowd generally not having a concern about possibly seeing Roman Reigns come away with the title. Have you noticed that? I mean, the fans, they're still split. I mean, we're not talking about John Cena-esque kind of split, but they're still a little split. They seem to be genuinely in Roman's corner, which is so different from where we were only 2 months ago.
Right.
Maybe even 3. It's so different, and you really have to hand it not just to the creative folks, because I think some of them have finally decided to, when it comes to his promos, take the foot off the gas a little bit. But also, when it comes to how he shows in the ring and what he says and the limits of it, they've really started dialing it down for him to make it easier. And the crowd is just eating it up. I wonder if it's because there really hasn't been a strong hero in the company. I mean, you had John Cena, but the U.S. title, to me, it may have, not necessarily knowing, but it may have put him back in a position where he was in a supporting role, which is hard to believe for John Cena, but I think that's what it kind of did. And unfortunately, with this injury, it really didn't help him either. But when you start putting guys like Sheamus and Rusev and Barrett and Del Rio, sorry, I always forget the boring one. When you put those guys in a group for no reason except for the fact that they're foreign and they're bad guys, nobody really buys into that as much. And I think that's where it makes it easier to create your big face. And also when you don't have a character as enigmatic and captivating as a Daniel Bryan, you're put in a position where you're going to cheer for the only good guy in town, or you're gonna just go ahead and tune out. And I think a lot of fans have chosen to get behind Roman Reigns rather than to tune out. Which, if you follow the ratings, which right now I don't know if it's really all that important anymore, but if you do follow the ratings, it's not quite as important to really have fans tuning in the aspect of, I want to word this correctly because ratings are important to a certain extent, but when you look at how they are factored right now, being that the ratings that they're driving, where they're still getting about 3 million viewers per program on the average, is it huge when it's a 2.9 versus a 2.7? Is it a big deal when you see it consistently? Yes, but is it huge when it drops from one week to another? I don't think so. I think much like what TNA has learned in the past, that if all you're ever going to see is a 1.2 at the highest, then your focus has to be not just on how do we get people to tune in, but how do we make sure our product is stable so that when people continue to tune in, that they have a reason to tell their friends, they have a reason to buy more merch, the whole 9 yards. And that's what we're seeing with WWE right now. I think they're trying their best to right the ship as best they can. With a limited roster, it's got to be hard to do. I mean, one of the things that surprises me the most, and I see this a lot on Twitter. I see a lot of fans that are like, "Oh, the WWE is going in a downward spiral. They're out of control. They're never going to recover." And the things that stand out in every fan that's really been around for any given amount of time, we'll just say a couple years or more, they have an understanding of some of the cycles that happens with the ratings and with viewership. When you're talking about that, the past few weeks, you've had the national championship game. You've had some very exciting football going on, some other athletic events, some other programs that have just been going on that generates national attention. Not to say that it happens every week, so it's not necessarily an excuse, but for the past few weeks at least, we've seen some competition out there that just isn't wrestling related. Because of that, it's going to draw viewers. It's going to draw a little bit of a dip or a change or a fluctuation in what the viewership really is measured with. But I don't know that ratings is really a legitimate measurement anymore, because while you have to be able to save face, so to speak. You have to be able to keep pace with what's out there. You also have to be able to continue to build on what you have. And I, for one, and sometimes I'm in the minority when it comes to this, but I, for one, think that what they're putting together at TNA, for example, but WWE also, is an attempt to bolster the roster. More so in WWE right now, as they continue to try to build. But I do see hints of that with TNA, with what they're trying to do. I think they're still not quite on par with what the rest of the world would like to see them do. But there's this mentality that you can't please everybody. If you have a Kurt Angle fan in the audience and you want to see Kurt Angle do well, then maybe you're happy right now. But if you got a Matt Hardy fan or an EC3 fan, they're going to say it's the worst program ever, and so on and so forth. I mean, they have individuals down there that are very popular. They just don't draw ratings. They don't draw an audience. And it's disappointing, because what we want to see with fans right now, what we want to see with wrestling in general, is something different. And WWE, for the most part, is trying their best to just right the ship and continual progress towards WrestleMania. And they know that their money is made at WrestleMania, so they're going to do everything they can to pull out all the stops. with this new talent that they're getting ready to bring in, my thought is that we're still not gonna we don't have a clear representation as to where we're headed with it, and because of that, we're going to see them continue to stick with a guy like Roman Reigns, which isn't necessarily bad. You just have to have the right opponent for him. I honestly don't know if Brock Lesnar is the right opponent for him right now. I think maybe at WrestleMania, and if this is what it takes to get there, then so be it. But there's still the hint or the threat of Triple H coming back to get his revenge on Roman Reigns, which could be interesting to say the least, because the match that they could have could be very good. Eddie, where do you see them going with that? Where do you see them going with Triple H as he comes back?
I would be all in favor of the Triple H storyline angle, all of the above, because Hunter can work a good match. Now, right now, since the Authority has been such a heel figure, the only thing that I'm going to have to sit back and wonder about is for everybody's going to jump and say, oh man, they had the NWO and DX and everything else. It's like, yeah, but Triple H still went over Sting. Triple H still went over Sting at Mania. By the same token, which, Sting was actually still full-time competition for the most part when he was down in A&T, dyslexia, so much fun. And where Triple H was, in case of emergency, break glass. Remember, those are Hunter's words too, by the way. In case of emergency, break glass. Orton, hurt. Cena, surgery. Rollins, out. 89% chance none of them will be back before Mania. Cena's the strongest bet. He's going to come back sooner anyway. But my vantage point for this, if they have Triple H come out at Mania and cost Reigns the belt, you have to be careful about how you do it. If you let Hunter come out at 30 and Reigns is in at 1, then you're going to have a very questionable circumstance in play. If Hunter comes out second, the roof is going to come off that place. Because of the fact that you're finally going to give the fans something they want, and that's Triple H versus Roman Reigns in an environment where they can go. If the third person out is Bray Wyatt, Reigns is gone. But then you have to remember what would happen if it was Triple H and Bray Wyatt. Would Triple H do the honors and powder out? Or would we actually see Hunter and Bray go at it? There are some unique possibilities. But I have to come back and say one little thing. If AJ Styles does make his debut at the Rumble, their roof is going to come off that place, and you're going to have to be so careful about how you eliminate him if you do. Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, I don't see coming out at the Rumble. Honestly, they would be much better suited to drop in and say hi for a cup of coffee at NXT. Their packaging, it doesn't matter if they repackage them, keep them as Doc and Machine Gun, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, or if they do the typical WWE. And see, this is where I'm going to get really ticky for a second. Because you signed members of the Bullet Club, the hottest faction in the world right now. You change their packaging on there, you repackage them when you get them there. You're basically proving, Vince, what I have been saying for the last few days since the scuttlebutt started. The main reason why Vince wants to go ahead and bring in, or Hunter wants to bring in, members of the Bullet Club, so it can break up the Bullet Club, make it not mean as much, and people will quit talking about it.
I see that point. That makes sense. I mean, that's typical for what they've done in the past.
Dude, that's what they did with ECW.
But what makes me think that they may want to do it differently is the fact that they've been teasing it, and they're not hiding from the Bullet Club, by the way. Much like they've done in a lot of NXT debuts, they're embracing the outside, image of each individual talent, and then they're looking to what could it possibly mean. If there ever was a time to debut an entire faction and to really shake it to the core, why not have AJ draw number 30? Why not have Doc and Anderson come out and be his support cast to have the Bullet Club win the title? Wouldn't that be just freaking crazy? You want to see the roof blow off, but then not only have the roof blow off, oh man, you'd set the whole company on its ear. I can't think of a better way to debut them, and I think you're absolutely right. If you debut AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble and you don't let him win it, then you better be so positive on how you're going to eliminate him that there's no room for doubt that he's going to be a big star. He has to be treated that way. He cannot be a guy that just gets a clothesline from Brock Lesnar and out he goes. Can't happen that way.
Nope.
Because you've got to be able to produce him in a manner. And this is not to say that AJ Styles is like a super heavyweight. What I'm saying is his star caliber alone, for everything he has done before he even gets in the door, you have to respect it. You have to treat it almost in the regard that they treated Sting. Because he is a legitimate talent. He came from absolutely nothing to being one of the biggest names unsigned by any major company except for New Japan. Biggest. Really, really one of the biggest. How he didn't get to WWE sooner than now, I will never know. Much like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe had his opportunity, and he did some dark matches and some small work a few years back, but it really didn't take hold for him. Now he's there. He was able to bring in his own name, and I honestly feel that when he comes up to the main roster, and it's really a question of when, not if, he's going to be a very strong player. But for AJ Styles, when you bring a man of this caliber to the ring in WWE, you have to show him the proper respect, not necessarily, crowning him. If you're not going to make him champion, fine. That's okay. But maybe you have him debut and maybe he eliminates Brock Lesnar. Maybe he eliminates Roman Reigns. Maybe, just to put everything else on its ear, he's the one that keeps Triple H from eliminating Roman Reigns. These are the things you can do with a caliber talent like this, with a group like this, because one of the things I have noticed is that New Japan, in their efforts to, I guess you could say this, write the Bullet Club out of storylines, as Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks kicked AJ Styles out, they also began to utilize the name of the Elite rather than the Bullet Club. Bullet Club shirts are still out there. There's still an affiliation there. But I have a feeling that WWE is not just signing these guys just for their reputation, but also for their name value, for their market value, but also for what they can draw in the fan base and what they can do to grow the fan base. You know what? As we look at the clock here, we're coming up on our first break. Let's go ahead and break here for just a couple moments. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about the road to WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, and we'll get into a little bit more of just some of the things happening around us. So stick with us. You're right here on Corner to Corner. It's myself, Stan Grubb. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Stick with us.
Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
The To Be Determined show live Wednesday nights, 9 Central Standard Time. Join myself, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, the Grand Design, Clyde Braddock, and the Magic City Monroe, Fast Eddie Layne, as we take you to the edge of uncensored. Yes, we go uncensored, so make sure you have your earmuffs. Ask your parents, for those of you that are a little young, maybe under 18, but make sure if you have any heart conditions or any mental defects, please listen, because they may take effect right here live every Wednesday night, 9 Central Standard Time. Beyond Ringside Radio Network, BeyondRingside.com.
Howdy, friends. This is the Magic City Motormouth, Fast Eddie Layne, with your invitation to join yours truly, along with Mark Mabo Bowman and the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, every Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, for Beyond Ringside Live. Wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com for all of upcoming show information, and of course, catch us on social media as well. Until then, we'll see you this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, for Beyond Ringside Live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Smart Rage from Wrestle Rage Radio, coming to you from the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Join myself and my co-host, Super Stan Grubb, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern as we present Wrestle Rage Radio, where we rant and rave on everything in the world of pro wrestling. Sometimes we'll have a guest. Sometimes it'll be just me and Stan BSing about the sport that we love, pro wrestling. Check us out. Tune in Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, only on the Beyond Ringside Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Corner right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. We're live, special Thursday night edition. Happy to be on board with everybody. Me, Stan Grubb, and of course, Eddie Layne is with us as well. Really just an opportunity for us here to get everything rolling, get the ball rolling, get Corner to Corner back under a couple of umbrellas. You may have heard me talk about last week, working on a debut here to get everything up and moving, but also you may have also heard of a partnership with a group called New Attitude Entertainment. Here's the quick hint: that's actually something I own also, but you'll hear more about that as we go forward. But it's a really exciting time. You will also be hearing soon. The debut of two friends of mine joining us on Corner to Corner, Rob and Brian, who will be joining me on, we're going to say, a semi-weekly basis for now. It's really as their schedules permit and as mine does. Corner to Corner initially, when we first came up with the concept, this is something I did a long time ago, just more from a writing perspective. If you've followed me for any duration of time, you know I used to write for Lords of Pain and a couple other websites out there as well. And that's what my column was called, was Corner to Corner. So all of these different things that you're seeing maybe for the first time and hearing for the first time, honestly, they've been around for so much longer. It's kind of embarrassing that I haven't done it before now. And yes, I'm grateful to have the time that I have with Corey, with Smart Rage, as far as Wrestle Rage Radio. And as I've said all along, there's no intention on my part right now for any kind of change there. I'm not unhappy with Wrestle Rage or anything like that. So to answer or to put an end to any rumor, everything is cool. Don't have to worry about that. This is just a project that I've been working on putting together for a long time. And Eddie has been very supportive in helping me learn the ins and outs of some of the software portions of it. For example, you may have heard me talk about Spreaker's standalone app that we usually broadcast through, and also Audacity, another good quality audio program that I'm finally starting to learn a little bit more about. Eddie, I promise you, one day I will be at least a little technically savvy or sound.
Dude, it's perfectly fine. Look, I'll sit back and say this. I've worked in radio and I've worked behind a microphone for just about the majority of my life. The radio part since the late 80s, and behind a microphone the majority of my life, and production as well as done so many different things. I've had the blessing and the honor, the privilege to do. There's always a learning curve. There's always an opportunity to learn new things. I'll give you a short version. I do some of the I do video promos for for marketing and advertising. And there was something that I was really trying to work on, and I could not figure it out to save my life. I knew I was doing something wrong, but I immersed myself so heavily in it that I couldn't see what it was, couldn't see the forest for the trees. Got in touch with a friend of mine, and it's like, dude, I need help. What am I doing wrong? And 5 seconds later, he said, do this. I was like, son of a buzzard. And so it's like, there's no matter how far you get into a project or anything like that, whether for me personally, whether it was with Premiere, Flash, website design, Dreamweaver, all the way back to Front Page and then some, there's always stuff that you can learn. There's always new things coming on the horizon that, once again, lessons are learned every day in any way that I can help. All you have to do is ask. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does. And I'll be ballsy enough to say, I don't know.
And that's definitely something I appreciate. Just having the phrase I hear a lot lately is real recognizing real. For somebody to be able to tell you straight up, hey, look, I don't know, but I might know somebody that does, means a lot more than hearing somebody say, yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can figure it out. I kind of appreciate when somebody says, that they do or don't know, and they're just being straight up, and that's definitely a bonus or a plus. It's a mark in the plus category. Just it solidifies your rankings are in the Class Act Club.
You're actually saying something nice about me, and that's so totally against the grain.
I'm a nice guy. Well, all right. I'm not a nice guy, but I'm an okay guy.
I'm going to find that old Don Rickles bite. I'm a nice guy, because I've been singing that song for the last year.
Well, getting back into kind of what we were talking about when we went to break, we were talking about the Royal Rumble, and, this, I say it all the time, this is my favorite time of year, not the road to WrestleMania necessarily, but the Rumble, because of the unpredictability, because of the possibilities for surprise returns, surprise debuts, even a surprise winner. You never really know what's going to happen at the Rumble, because this is really where the book to WrestleMania starts. And in that aspect, that's an exciting point for me, but it's just my favorite event. I actually like Battle Royals. Some wrestling fans don't. Some of them look into it for more than it is, like why don't they let this guy do more, and so on and so forth. Me, it's just one of those events where I can just enjoy it. Mania is what it is. It's kind of a stressful time for a fan because you're looking for the big payoffs to all of these different stories. The Rumble is where you can just see just about anything you want. You can see a good 5-star match. You can see an unpredictable spot or an unpredictable win. Not quite the same as some of the other, I guess you could call it B-rate or B-grade pay-per-views or $9.99 per-views, to coin a phrase as Eddie would put it.
There you go.
It's an exciting point of view, I think, when we start seeing rumors and we start seeing some of the dirt sheets getting involved. And this is probably the only time of year that you will ever hear me say something positive about it. I love the wrestling dirt sheets at Royal Rumble time because everybody under the sun is rumored to be making a showing of it. From Goldberg to Bubba Dudley to AJ Styles, and this is all the stuff in the years past. Jeff Hardy, John Morrison. Last year they were positive. They were positive that they were going to have Bobby Roode. I remember reading something about Bobby Roode making his WWE debut. None of these things, of course, happened. Bubba Dudley did come out, but it was interesting to see some of these different rumors. And it is a cool thing for me to see it, but there is also one thing that drives me nuts, especially the day of the event. That's these idiots that take photos of the guys that are doing a surprise return at the airport or backstage or I hate it. It makes me want to not be on Twitter or Facebook and not touch my cell phone the entire time because I don't want to be spoiled. Spoil me on Mania, spoil me on the other events, I don't care. When it comes to the Rumble, I want it to be a pure experience. And that's why I like doing all this speculation. I mean, and that's really all it is. I'm just kind of spitballing and hoping for the best, but that's what being a wrestling fan is all about. I think that's what being a fan of anything is really all about. If somebody were to tell you that Super Bowl 50 coming up is going to be New England and Arizona, God forbid, Carolina wants you to win. But if they told you it's going to be New England and Arizona is going to win by 7 and that's how it ends, wouldn't you be really ticked off? Of course you would, because nobody wants it to be spoiled. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I just saw Star Wars and it was the greatest movie ever, you'll never guess what happens, and then they tell you, and you still haven't seen it, I know you hate that. I hate it. A lot of times, I'm okay with spoilers. When it comes to, for example, and Corey and I have always said this, when Raw is taped, We hate it so much. One, because I have no interest in seeing a taped program. It just kills it for me. I love the live feel. It's actually why I like doing live broadcasting as well, because anything that can and most likely will happen does happen during a live show, whereas during an edited or a pre-taped show, it can always leak out. Somebody can go, ooh, guess what I just read? And before you know it, it's not even close to as exciting.
Right.
Unless, of course, your Tony Schiavone just happened to be giving away the spoilers for Mick Foley winning the title, which everybody and their sister wanted to see, all at the same time.
Yeah. That not only put butts in chairs, that also put people clicking the remotes.
Yep. It used to be Nitro. The initials stood for Now I'll Turn Raw On. I'll never forget that. That was one of my favorite.
I've never heard that.
Oh, God, it was such a great joke. I don't even remember. I think I saw that in a WCW chat room. You know that it's bad, by the way, in a company when your chat room is 95% fans of the other company.
Yeah, I know.
It's like when you look at, and Eddie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but have you ever seen TNA Mecca?
No.
So here we have a bulletin board type website, okay? And it's pro TNA. Nothing wrong with being pro TNA first and foremost. I may not always give them a fair shake, but I think Eddie and I are in agreement. We want to see them eventually do well, or just close up shop and let somebody else take your place. Please, just get it done.
Well, they may have already struck their death blow on this week's television show.
I know, and okay, we'll get into this right now. Here's my thought on this. EC3 is a great star, but why would you take the top and also the most accomplished heel on your program, who had really earned it, by the way, not somebody that just kind of got forced into that role, who earned it, and turned even wrestling fans that hate TNA into EC3 fans?
Right.
Why would you take this guy and make him the babyface? Makes no sense to me.
The worst.
Now, I don't like Rebby Sky. I personally, the fact that she's a mother is the only thing that saves her from me going off on her on a weekly basis. I don't have any desire to see her on TV. I think she's just a bad person. As far as Matt Hardy and his in-ring talent, hey, look, let's give him his due. The man has vastly improved over the past 6 years, and certainly is deserving of a main event run. But not this way.
No.
Not this way, damn it. No, really. This is not the way to do this. I myself would have much rather have seen Matt Hardy just get the quote-unquote fluke win over a heel EC3, overcoming the odds. Yet again, something like that, to me, makes better sense. But now we have EC3, who's going to be in a very, very unfamiliar role as a babyface. And he's certainly not shown any desire whatsoever to pander to any of the fans. And he's not shown any kind of appeal in that regard, except to the fans that like bad guys. So, you have them laid out. You have Brodus or Tyrus. Sorry, Brodus. I know that... Can I tell you this? In all of the guys we've talked to, from Wrestle Rage, This Very Ring, and all points in between, all of the guys we've talked to, probably the most down-to-earth, honest guy to get released from WWE to go to TNA has been Brodus Clay or Tyrus. And I'm so happy for the success that he's seeing, but I feel so bad for him because he is yet again shifted into a side role when clearly, whether it's charisma or in-ring work, this guy can do it. And he could be the face. That's what I'm thinking. He could be the good guy. But instead, he's a lackey. He's a sidekick to Matt Hardy and Rebby Sky. Look, folks, if you're TNA supporters, if you truly love this company, and this will tie into the TNA Mecca thing that I was getting to, you got to start opening your eyes. You've got to start recognizing it for what it really truly is. And right now, it's a slash and burn sale. That's all it is. They're trying to get every little bit, every little drop. They're trying to squeeze every little bit out of this pony before it finally dies. It's sad. It's disappointing. I was a supporter of TNA when it was doing weekly pay-per-views for $10 a week. That was me. I was one of those guys hitting the button on DirecTV, watching great X Division wrestling, solid main events, and cool cameos. I was okay with seeing Luger and Piper and all these guys do cameos. I was okay with that. Because the talent in TNA was so different from WWE, and in a lot of cases so much better, that you had the best of both worlds.
Yep.
You had WWE where you got your mainstream fix. And really that's what WWE is. And then you had TNA where you had, a lot like WCW, some of the best wrestling you could ever find. Storylines weren't always that great, but I was okay with that. Didn't have to be. And they tried to dabble in with Vince Russo, who did... I kind of liked this gimmick back in the day. You'll have to do some research if you don't remember it. But the Sports Entertainment Extreme versus the TNA Originals, I was okay with that. Not great, but not bad. Remember they had the good guy and the bad guy locker room? They had the entrance for Sports Entertainment Extreme, and then they had the entrance for everybody else. I mean, that was kind of cool. I liked the ramp the way they had it. I liked the six-sided ring. Now, do I like the six-sided ring so much? No, because now all of the interest that was once in it has been sucked out of it, because now you've got the same boring stuff going on in the ring that was going on with just the four-sided ring. TNA has really struggled, and when they went from Destination America, where they were somewhat successful, and I say somewhat because it seemed to me like they were finally getting some growth going on. Wasn't huge, but they were growing. Then Destination America unknowingly just pulls the plug on them, just stops. I mean, they were advertising for them. They had advertisements going on during Raw, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And the only thing I can tell you is that somewhere along the lines, and maybe we could attribute this to when Russo was rumored to be working there again, one of the folks with Destination America, or maybe a group of them, just soured. They just said, you know what, we don't want to be a part of it. We don't want to be involved. We don't like what you're doing. And they pulled the plug. This was September this was 9 months into their 2-year deal. I mean, 9 months, man. That's barely enough time to have a baby. So you got all this... all these shows that you've got in the can, and by the way, taping 8 shows at a time.
Sucks.
Holy cow. I mean, I hated it when they taped 4, but at least 4 meant you had at least 1 live show a month. No, you don't even get that anymore. And on top of that, in this world that we live in this, instant gratification era that we live in, the moment that those shows are taped, we've got the results, and we've got them boom, on Twitter, on Facebook, on, MySpace, on everything. They're everywhere. And it's not just the fans tweeting them out there. It's the talent. I don't get this. So go back to what we were talking about just a little while ago, TNA Mecca. You've got this bulletin board site of fans supporting TNA. Again, at the very surface, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with them doing this. But then the next thing you see is making rules as to what can and cannot be discussed when it comes to the TNA board or bulletin board. All right, I'm not exactly down with that, because the moment you start limiting people's ability to speak is usually a death knell for your site. But all right, you're trying to moderate. I understand. Then you see fans start asking very legitimate, real questions. Hey, how come so-and-so lost tonight when they've been building them for 6 months? Hey, do me a favor, don't post that because that's negative. Wait a second. Can't do that. You can't start telling fans what they can and can't say. It goes even further to where wrestling fans that were TNA supporters, TNA originals almost, where they start saying, well, listen, I've noticed that the viewership is going down. I noticed that networks aren't willing to get behind us. And then as they're posting their next post, they go to hit submit and they find out they've been blocked or banned or suspended. You can't do that. You got your fan base fighting each other right now. I mean, if there's ever ever a sign that your company needs some desperate help or somebody to just put the bullet in the skull, when your fans start fighting each other about how bad your company is, guys, gals, Dixie, baby, please, I'm begging you, pull the plug. Go to Jeff, say, listen, man, you're a smart businessman. I should have listened to you and your father some years ago. I've made a mistake. I would like to work out a deal. Because you don't have to sell to Vince. You don't have to sell to Vince. That's what everybody is saying. That's what WWE fans, Ring of Honor fans, all these people are saying. Oh, Vince is just going to buy it when it closes. But you don't have to. You don't have to. The NWA didn't do it. They didn't have to. And if there was ever a company or a group before TNA that should have had to have sold their information, it would have been the NWA because they had the largest video library. But they don't. They didn't do it. As a matter of fact, they went on demand, and they've got a very successful product right now, much like New Japan World. This is a sign for us. As wrestling fans in general, you don't have to love WWE. You don't have to give in to the machine, as CM Punk would say. You don't. But you have to recognize the writing on the wall. I'm not a huge Jeff Jarrett fan or supporter. I never have been. I can't say I ever will be. I'm still not convinced that Global Force, by the way, is going to be anything but a flash in the pan. I mean, it's been, 4 months since their last quote-unquote taping? I don't know about that there, guys. You did all this during the summer, and then you disappear off the face of the planet, but we're still supposed to consider you relevant? I don't know. But for Jeff and for his group of, I guess you could say, directors or producers or agents, it makes good sense to say, okay, Dixie, hey, listen, I'm glad you came to me. I'm glad to see that you're admitting, you're giving me the mea culpa, because here's what we can do together. And then essentially he kicks her in the ass and takes her talent, because that's what I would do. and then I would go ahead and roll out Global, and I would just go ahead and cycle out those that I don't need anymore. I think that's where most companies would like to see. I think that's what you would see in a business. If McDonald's and Burger King ever went head to head, truly, and only one came out on top, if McDonald's won, for example, you wouldn't see the Whopper being served at McDonald's. You'd see them absorb, you'd see them keep what they want, and get rid of the rest. That's what WWE did when they bought WCW. They kept what they wanted, they signed who they could afford, and they let the rest go. They had to. So for TNA right now, I mean, it sucks for guys like Bobby Roode, for James Storm especially, and why he decided to leave NXT to go back to a company that probably won't survive much longer, unless maybe he knew that and figured, hey, let's get a payday and then we'll go back. I'm pretty sure that door's not closed for him. It's just disappointing, because now we actually are going to have to find yet another possible option. And unless Lucha Ground decides to turn a profit this coming year, which I hope they do, because their product is awesome. But unless they can turn a profit this year, I don't see a network taking a chance on them. They didn't sell tickets last year. They sold them this year, thank God. It's a tough time to be a fan of anything other than the mainstream, other than the Monster Machine. Not because the product is always suffering. I mean, TNA's definitely is. But it's more because it's a tough time to be a wrestling fan in general, because from my perspective anyway, as a wrestling fan, independent wrestling in my area is at least 3 hours away, any direction I decide to travel. With the exception of one coming up on the 31st of January, Virginia Wrestling, or maybe it's Vanguard Wrestling Association. I'll have to double check that. I apologize if I got it wrong. But they're having a show on the 31st of January in Springfield, which is only about an hour and a half. And I may actually be checking that out. It's on a Sunday, by the way, so we'll see.
Is that Vanguard Wrestling All-Star Alliance?
Thank you. That's what it is.
Or
yes.
Vanguard Championship Wrestling?
Not Championship Wrestling. It's VWA. I know that. they they invited me. They said that they look forward to having me there. Damn it. I hate when I can't remember. This is what happens when you get old, ladies and gentlemen. You forget stuff. Good stuff, too. Here it is. I've got their Nova Pro Wrestling. Sorry about that. All right. So Nova Pro Wrestling is doing, their show is called Stay Vicious on the 31st of January. Sanjay Dutt is one of the head guys at this company. He's also going to be wrestling on the show. George Gatton is going to be debuting. I read this off on Sunday. I'll read it off tonight. 31st January, Annandale Sports Club, 6728 Industrial Road in Springfield, Virginia. Doors open at 4:30 p.m., bell time 5 p.m. Front row seats, $25. General admission, $20. For more information, go to novaprowrestling.tumblr.com. And that's got the whole card, the rundown as far as who's going to be on the show. It should be exciting. I look forward to it just because it's another company out there. I know that Cue Ball is still working on Mid-Atlantic Wrestling League, and I know that they are going to be putting a show on very soon. But if you got the Bravado Brothers, you've got Sanjay Dutt, you have George Gatton making his debut there, so you've got some names. Corey brought up a good point. The pricing of it is a little bit of a question mark to me. But hey, if the show is good enough, I'd pay for it. And with that, we have come up on that magic time. The witching hour is upon us. And with that, that means we're going to have to close out our edition of Corner to Corner here tonight. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond Ringside.
Wait. Do you want to?
I mean, I've got all the time in the world.
Tell you what, folks, I'm commandeering. Back in 3. Take us out.
Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more. Right here on Corner to Corner of the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the bonus round, the extended edition here of Corner to Corner, right here on Beyond Ringside's Radio Network. We're live. Good Lord, I love being live. That's how I like to do things. You never know what'll come at you. You never know what'll come next. Eddie, I want to tell you, sir, I really appreciate you being not just a producer, but also being a very hospitable host.
Not a problem.
For Corner to Corner. We definitely like being a part of good things here.
Not a problem, brother. I've been enjoying it. And
I like to be able to just run off at the mouth. That makes me feel good.
I tell you what I'm going to do. We were joking, or I was ribbing you for a second as we first went to break, and I said, too many loose ends. I had been considering the notion of making a parody, so to speak, on the 10 count, Back to Basics Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Legends with JBL has Road Dogg? Oh, let's see how much truth he tells. I've known Brian for years. Tremendous individual.
I watched that interview. It was really good.
Good. Because if there's somebody who's been through a lot of turmoil over the years, but has come out of it smelling like a proverbial rose, I'm glad that Brian Gerard James is actually getting everything going his way. Hey, look, he still got it in ring. I don't care what anybody says.
Actually, when him and Billy Gunn did their return, where they did their most recent run, was really good. Yeah. I was very impressed.
Yeah, Billy looked crisp. I mean, I have to put him in that same classification that you do with, or that people have been doing with the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. He is genuinely part of that class that time forgot. It's like, excuse me, you're looking just as good now as you did 15 years ago. What the hell? What I was going to do is, since I was ribbing you about too many loose ends, I'd thought about taking this and making it a feature on Back to Basics, but we can do a coin toss, and we'll do it Rumble Sunday. Calling it the Bullet Point Club.
I like it. Let's do this. Let's do it.
So one of us is going to end up with the nickname for a segment of the show called the Bullet Point Club. I'm going to go over to LegalZoom and copyright that son of a gun right now.
Do it now. Vince is taking it as we speak.
They listen.
I was listening to GCW radio this past week, and Dan Sawyer is more on point than he realizes. They are constantly watching what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
and not just on air, but also in e-wrestling. They take so many gimmick ideas.
Oh yeah,
it's and personally, I've had ideas that I ran with for years, just stuff I wrote that I've seen on WCW and WWE. Drives me nuts because they made money off of it and I didn't.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, let's see. We have a vacant world championship. Why don't we have a world title tournament? Oh, WWE just vacated their world title and going to have a tournament. Damn.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, TNA just vacated their world title. They're going to have a world title tournament. And Global was one doing it 2 weeks before them.
It drives me nuts. I hate when they do it. If it can't, it's why we always say it. If you're stealing in wrestling, you're stealing twice.
I've said this for a number of years, and I challenge anybody to tell me I'm wrong. Professional wrestling, sports entertainment, is the most environmentally friendly corporation, industry, business, whatever, that there is out there. We've been recycling for years.
Yeah, and I think that's when people start losing their faith in different companies, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, I think it's because they see so many things get recycled so often. And I think that's one of the things that WWE suffered from without an actual competition.
Yeah.
So it definitely has hurt them.
I'm just really upset right now because my bid was negated on eBay, and I'm not going to be able to get Sonny's Hall of Fame class ring. It sucks.
Well, it's always Sonny and no wait. Sonny's side up in the back door.
I was about to say it's always Sonny in the back door.
What we were talking about this in production chat, and one thing I'll never understand is when we see folks that we've seen from our youth just become just
go off
shells,
the deep end.
Shells of who they were.
Go off the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Roberts, it happened to him. Scott Hall, it happened to him. Thank God they've both been able to come back around and on the other side of it. I'm sure they have their struggles, but it's good to see them healthier.
Yep.
But for a person like Tammy Sitch, for Sonny, for me as a kid, I had a crush on her all throughout high school, all the way through the time that I met her at Awesome Wrestling Entertainment in Virginia a couple years back. To see, and yes, I mean, I know that she's done. Of course, we all know that she's done the Skype calls where she's gotten naked and done other things on camera for those that were willing to pay the money. But also, she's done things with Missy Hyatt and Francine where she's done a lot of that kind of thing before. But just recently, she was going to sell her Hall of Fame ring, and she was trying to get. I think she was trying to get $100,000 for it.
Right.
Which, okay, I mean, yes, would I love to have a piece of that kind of memorabilia? Sure. $100,000? No. Not a chance in heck. Not a chance in Hades. Even if it was Shawn Michaels' Hall of Fame ring, which he would never sell, by the way, I wouldn't pony up that kind of money. And there's not a more devout fan of Shawn Michaels in this world than me. I dare you. There's just not. But in all truth, it's sad to see her have to struggle this way. I wish that there was a way or a method that we could think or we could see just some kind of redemption to have these folks get it together and survive. It's heartbreaking, and I think we all want to see our favorites come back and come out on the other side. But it's sad, and we do wish that we could see it for something better than it is right now. And it's just disappointing.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yes, it is. It's.
Gave you that one.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Maybe it's not so much of a pain for her anymore. Maybe that's why she does it.
I served that one up to you like a Roger Federer off-speed serve, and you just let it go whoof right by you.
It took me a minute to pick up what you were putting down there, buddy. Well, apparently, she's already commenced to filming. Vivid Entertainment signed Sunny to do a sex tape for what she states is way more than the $100,000 she was initially looking to get.
Yeah,
Sonny, you know, I'd have paid your bills. I'll put that out there. I'd have made you get drug tested
Good luck
and
with that.
HIV tested and STD tested, but I'd have paid your bills. I don't know about $100,000, but I'd have paid her bills.
I'd have taken her to dinner.
Oh, at least the best Whopper we could buy.
Oh.
What? Who doesn't like a good Whopper with cheese?
Well, by the same token, you just got to remember how many pickles you put in between the buns.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce. Oh, wait, that's
Special
the Big
sauce? That's the Big Mac.
Mac. Well, maybe she likes Big Macs.
Oh, no. She could like Big Mac. She could like Chicken McNuggets.
She might be more of a fan of the Whopper Jr.
Could be, well, you know, if it was her in China, it could be a fillet of fish.
Oh, God. Actually, no. When it comes to China, I think it's more like 2 dogs, 1 bun.
Oh. McDip.
Or maybe she likes the fake stuff. Maybe she's into the McRib.
Oh, that's why I said McDip, because I couldn't bring myself to say McRib. Because I will never be able to look at a McRib the same way ever again.
Maybe she just doesn't know what to do with her life and figured she needed to just back up and take a second. I don't know.
Pull to the next window, please.
Thank you, drive through.
Remember, they always F you in the drive-through.
You, Joe Pesci. Oh, man, is it so sad to see that happening with her.
Well,
Beautiful woman, just never quite got right after her run in WCW.
I mean, I would be okay with the simple fact that, you know, I watched what's happened to people like Dawn Marie and the controversy with the charity that she was working with. Mm-hmm. And it's just, guys, I don't know what to tell you. There comes a point in time where you just have to sit back and say, what the hell are they think? Oh, no, they're not thinking anything. They're not.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They're just not, they don't have it together. And I don't know what happens to, maybe it's drugs? And I'm not trying to say that she's, strung out or anything. I don't mean it like that. Maybe she's in with the wrong people as far as money's concerned. Maybe she owes. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can owe money for. She could have taken out a lot of loans. She could have made a lot of bad bets. I don't know. I don't know what happens to a person that gets into this kind of a situation, because for all intents and purposes, for everything we ever knew of her before she went to WCW and later ECW, she was clean.
Oops.
I mean, I'm sure she was probably doing whatever it is what HBK was doing when they were together. And for the longest time when she was with Candido, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything that I've ever heard about Sunny where she was doing any kind of crack cocaine or anything crazy like that. I know everybody wanted to see her in Playboy for the longest time.
Oh, God, yes. Now they can. It's called Skype.
You get to direct your video. Uh-oh.
Hey, talk about customs matches.
Well, hey, you know what? Not that I'd pay the money for it, but there's a lot of women out there that if they offered it like that, there'd be people paying the money.
Yeah, don't get the wick started on Barbie Hayden anytime soon.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about attractive women in wrestling in general. I mean, you got Santana Garrett, you got Amber O'Neil. No disrespect, Doc. I'm certainly not trying to go that far, but I'm just saying, as far as attractive women in wrestling, there's a ton of them.
Oh, God, yes.
And if any, Veronica Fairchild, holy cow! Patricia Kelly, who's still a youngster, so it's a little weird, but she's pretty. But all things considered, I mean, there's a ton of them. And we're not even scratching the surface of what we're seeing on, like, Total Divas and stuff.
Right.
Oh, my God. Would that be crazy? An hour with Brie or an hour with Nikki Bella.
No. Just say no. Just say no.
And then, of course, Cena kicks your living teeth in and Daniel Bryan breaks your neck. But it's okay. You got that hour, didn't you?
No. There is no way in hell you could ever convince me that spending any time with something by the last name of Bella is going to be worth it. Please.
In a bedroom setting? Are you serious?
No. Becky Lynch, however, hello, McFly.
Or Charlotte.
No,
Somebody
I'm
put
not a
out
big
on
fan
Twitter
of Ace
the other
Haven.
day.
I don't see myself sleeping with Ace Haven. Thank you, Robert Cosper, wherever you are.
I was going to say something alluding to something like that, where there have been people on Twitter saying that Charlotte has a little bit of a mannish appeal to her. Can I be honest with you? I don't see that. She was married to Bram. Did you know this?
No, didn't.
Yeah, she was married to Bram. They just went through a nasty divorce. I feel for them on that. That sucks, but...
Divorce blows.
Yeah, it's a mess. People get hurt in the middle of all of it, and... there's no such thing, by the way, as collateral damage. It's all just damage. It's not. There's no other term to it. You don't dress it up. It just is what it is. It sucks.
It's all just damn it.
Or damn it. Yeah, damn it works. It's all just damn it. So, Eddie, I'm dying to know. Let's get into the bullet point club.
Hey, there you go. 1. Does it really matter how many surprise appearances there are at Royal Rumble this coming Sunday?
Grand scheme of things, or just in general? What do you mean?
Would you be happy with one, or do you think we would need more than one for people to call the Rumble a success?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think it does matter, because if you only have one and it's not the right one, yeah, people will pretty much put the old kibosh, the thumbs down on the Rumble as an event. But if you do the right one with the right mix, yeah, it could be successful just with one. Is it more exciting with multiple? Sure. If you have, and these are just the rumors that I've heard for this year's. If you have Daniel Bryan, if you have AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson, if you have them do a debut or a return or a surprise entrant, combined with RVD and somebody else that they could throw in, maybe even Jeff Hardy, which is the big rumor that I've heard lately. If you did that, oh yeah, I mean, I think it'd be successful regardless of the winner.
Bullet point. If I am one of the 4 established tag teams that is going to be competing in the pre-show, how offended am I that I don't at least get a Royal Rumble appearance? And that's going to be the Royal Rumble kickoff, Darren Young, Damian Sandow, the Dudley Boys. Darren and Damian versus the Dudleys versus the Ascension versus Mark Henry and Jack Swagger in a fatal 4-way kickoff to qualify for the Royal Rumble.
I'd be ticked off. I'd be ticked off if I'm the Dudleys, and I'd be ticked off if I'm Mark Henry and Jack Swagger. The other teams, you got to earn it still. Darren Young, I think after Darren Young came out publicly that he had that brief lift to the top kind of thing, and it just kind of fizzled out because they just don't have anything to do with him now, just like they did before he came out. Kind of forced their hand. They had to put him on TV for a while. Not knowingly. It wasn't like he was trying to strong arm him. But for him and for Sandow, I imagine for Sandow it's got to be disappointing because your safe bet is to say the Dudleys win. The Dudleys win. They go into the Rumble. there's a big rumor going on lately, and Bubba Ray, has been saying that he doesn't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But there's a big rumor that we would see the Dudleys split, and that Bully Ray would come back, which would be cool. I think at WWE he would do really well, and that could be a dark horse that nobody would really see coming. Doesn't mean he would win the belt.
No, they would not push him to that main event plateau, nor would they do it to Devon. And remember what happened last time they split up the Dudley Boys? The fans hated it.
Yeah, it just didn't come off well. When they did the brand split and they started splitting tag teams, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, especially at that time. Because the Dudleys at that time were at the top of their game in tag team action.
Yes.
The Hardys were at the top of their game. To split these teams just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I think at some point you kind of have to see what you've got. I just don't know that you have to force it. And there's the way the rumor has played out, this is what I've read, was that Devon is more of a fan of the smaller schedule. He's not really wanting to be on the road as much. I think he's probably just coming up on that point where he wants to retire, which makes sense. But Bully Ray or Bubba Ray, you can refer to him as either one. I think it's interchangeable. But for him, it's more of a case of he's got more to do. A lot more to do. And I think he could end up being a very big single star when they finally decide to pull the trigger on it. It doesn't mean they're going to pull the trigger on it right away. I kind of doubt that, but it's a possibility. But more to your quote unquote point. Yeah, I think it's a good slap in the face to the guys that have earned their way. I think Damian Sandow has busted his ass for the better part of at least 2 years and merits an entry into the Rumble. It does kind of speak volumes for the amount of faith that they have in these guys to make them have to qualify for it.
At this point in time, I'm going to counteract by saying I'll bet you lunch at Buffalo Wild Wings that the Ascension does not make it. I'll bet you lunch at Ruby Tuesday that Darren and Damian don't make it. This will probably be to me, the Dudleys are the odds on. If I have to seed, Dudley 1, Mark Henry, Jack Swagger 2, because that gives them beef in the ring that knows what they're doing because they got Major League Rumble experience.
Plus, for Swagger and for Henry, it's 2 former world champs.
Correct. Now, I was hoping when I saw this that it was going to be a number 1 contenders match for the tag team title. Now, granted, the Usos are going to be facing off again. Against
2015 Tag Team of the Year.
Usos?
Yes.
I thought the Ascension was 2015 Tag Team of the Year.
I think if you asked Twitter, they'd be happy to tell you.
Yeah. I was one of the ones who said, and folks, I apologize for the utilization of this terminology. They screwed the pooch so bad when it came to the Ascension. The Ascension should have never spoken. They should not have had Paul Heyman. They should have had the Wicked Nemesis, Father James Mitchell, Fast Eddie Layne, any one of the, possibly even Jeff G. Bailey. They could have had Road Warrior Animal as their spokesman. Those two gentlemen should have never spoken. At least not for the first year. They needed to be silent destroyers. Putting them with Stardust was a great idea. It's just too late. Connor and Victor are headed for that great trash heap in the sky unless you find a way to do something. And I've got to ask a question. Why is it that Darren Young is teaming with Damian Sandow when the primetime players were getting such great reviews from the fan base?
And from the guys in the back.
Yeah. PTP was on fast track to regain tag team gold, and they should have kept it for a while. But I don't think anybody saw the New Day actually becoming entertaining. And oh my God, they're breaking the needle.
Plus, I think that Titus O'Neil's star is on the rise right now. And I think they were caught off guard by that. His ability just to captivate a crowd on his own. I think that caught him off guard. I think it caught him by surprise. And I think that there was a rumor that Darren Young was hurt for a while. So, and he went on Twitter or Instagram, I don't remember which one, and said that it was false. But the way they're gearing this, it's like they just quietly split them up.
Well,
they just said, we're kind of done with that. And that just, the first time they did it was pretty obvious. They split them and they did the whole crappy feud that nobody cared about Darren Young for. It still kind of surprises me. How do you not care about Darren Young? He's a good talent in the ring. Good babyface. I don't quite understand the gutbuster finish that he does. I think that looks kind of stupid. Any finisher where you land on your back and someone lands on top of you, that's not a good one. I'm sorry. It's just not a good one.
Not the damn least.
But, hey, a finisher is a finisher. It depends on... And plus, what makes a good finish is if you could do it to anybody. You tell me if you're going to see him do that to the Big Show.
Bullet point. Why does it seem that in NXT, the women can flourish, but the second they get up to the main roster and into a program, it's the same old thing?
Poor planning. Look at Sasha Banks. Look at Becky Lynch before she got to her current role, which I think she's thriving in. But also look at Emma. And this is the reason that we don't see Bayley on the main roster yet. And that's poor planning. With Sasha Banks, you had a legit main event women's wrestler that could have mixed it up with any of the current and any of the upcoming and made it entertaining. What they did was, with this Divas Revolution, the plan, and I could see what Stephanie wanted it to look like. And I think part of the reason it's poor planning, and this isn't really a negative to Stephanie, it just shows that she hasn't really thought this through. I think this was her pet project. And with the Divas Revolution, you had these new girls coming up, and they created these factions in an effort to show that everybody wanted to be supported, but they also weren't sure who needed to go where. The reality of it was that it should have been the four horsewomen. It should have been Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley, which we still might see. And it should have been them, realistically, running roughshod over the rest of the women's division. That's what we should have seen. But what happens in a lot of these things, and it's evident with a girl like Emma, and it's evident with a girl like Summer Rae, and that's that the weaknesses that were hidden through what they did at NXT versus the spotlight and how ridiculously bright it is on the main stage, you don't have time to do a second guess. And Emma second guessed herself all the time. The crowd liked her for a little while and they fizzled out. Some of it you can attribute to the creative, some of it you can attribute to the talent. I think a majority of it, unfortunately, does fall to the talent, because much like what we've seen with Rusev from the male coming up from NXT to WWE, when we see this happen, I think the moment that they don't get what they want, that's when you see if they're really going to be a main talent or not.
Right.
And I think what we've seen with a girl like Emma is when she didn't get what she wanted, she got upset, and they moved her back down. When it came to Rusev and he didn't get what he wanted, and I clearly believe he was disappointed with losing to John Cena. I don't think it was a bad move to have Cena defeat him. Maybe WrestleMania wasn't the right timing for it, but you have to make him lose at some point. WrestleMania is the main stage. That's the big show, the biggest show that they've got for the year. If anybody's going to beat this guy, it's going to have to be Cena, or maybe even like Hulk Hogan kind of thing. Point being, if they're used to getting what they want pretty much all the time, and I think in NXT that's what we see. Hey, Triple H, I want to try this. Okay. Hey, Triple H, I want to do this. Okay. You don't really see them tell him no very often, because it's evident in what we see on the product. Maybe that's what they need to start doing, is telling him yes more often on the main stage. I mean, Adam Rose, when he came out, was huge. People loved him. And then it just fizzles out. You know, they kill it off and they introduce the bunny, which was stupid.
Of course.
And it's, you know, some people will say it's, some people will say that it's because of Vince and Kevin Dunn. Some people will say it's because what necessarily makes a big star in a small stage like NXT doesn't translate well to the main stage. I happen to agree with that more times than not, because when you're looking at how fans react, when you're in a small group of wrestling fans, and this is not to put down the NXT crowd, but when you're in a small group of wrestling fans like they have at Full Sail University, they know what they like and they know what they don't. And they will get behind it if you put it to them the right way. Triple H knows how to keep his finger on the pulse. But when you get to that big stage where there's Vince, there's Kevin, there's Triple H, there's Stephanie, there's the road agents, and there's the big egos that are up top in each other's ears, it's such a mixed bag. I mean, unless you're friends with Triple H, unless you work out with John Cena, unless, there's like these what ifs and possibilities, and you just don't have room for that in NXT because NXT is more laser focused on what they're doing.
Agreed.
And WWE is just too broad of a scope.
Agreed. And I hate to do it. TikTok.
Yep, that magic moment where we actually have to look and say, hey, guess what? Like Tony Schiavone says, we gotta go.
Tell you what, before you do, I'm going to put some pressure on you real quick because I don't know how available you're going to be before the pay-per-view on Sunday, so I'll go ahead and throw it out there like this.
Go for it.
Where'd that damn thing go? There it is. Intercontinental Championship match. Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens, last man standing match. Stan?
Winners of that match is the fans. I don't know if you can really pick a winner and have it be bad. If Kevin Owens wins, it's good for Kevin Owens, and I'm a fan. If Dean Ambrose wins, that's good for Dean Ambrose, and it's good for WWE in general. If I had to make a selection here, I'm going to say that Kevin Owens comes away with the belt.
Alberto Del One Trick Pony versus Kalisto.
This was really disappointing for me, looking at SmackDown when they took the title off of Kalisto so quickly. To me, the smart move is to have Kalisto win the title back. I want to see a feud like this. Let's have him trade the title back. Let them go back and forth. I'm fine with that. Let's do that. Let's see Kalisto win. But unfortunately, I think what they're going to do is stick with League of Nations and have Alberto win by outside interference.
Charlotte, Becky, ladies that damn Divas belt.
I'm going to say Charlotte strictly because of the Ric Flair factor, but I think the match will be really good, and I think this could steal the show.
New Day, Usos, tag team titles.
It's not time for the New Day to lose yet. That being said, we'll probably see them lose, but I think that the Usos will come up short, and I think if we don't see some kind of reincarnation of what did he call her, Francesca? If we don't see some kind of new trombone or something come out at the Rumble, I'd be very surprised.
Expounding from the one from earlier, Darren and Damian versus the Dudleys versus the Ascension versus Henry and Swagger. Fatal 4-way kickoff to qualify for the Rumble match.
Flip a coin on this one between the Dudleys and Swagger and Henry, and let's see, call it in the air. Heads. It's tails. So I guess I'll say Swagger and Henry.
Logical choice. Although I have a feeling it's going to end up being Bubba Ray and Devon. And
yeah, unless they want to shock us and make it the Ascension just for kicks.
And I'm not even going to ask you who you think because they have not released all the names for the Royal Rumble at this point. On WWE.com, the official participants are listed as Reigns, Lesnar, Sheamus, Jericho, Stardust, Bray, Eric, Luke, Strowman, Ziggler, Ryback, Big Show, Curtis Axel.
Heath Slater, Rose, and Bo Dallas is in it too.
Once again, I'm going off WWE.com.
Oh, okay. I think what we want to do here when we look at these kind of lists is we can rule out the secondary players. I think what we're seeing is possible 4 guys that can come away with the title. I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier. We've got Lesnar, Reigns, we've got Wyatt, and Triple H is probably your go-to. I'm going to say, and I'll probably get heat for this, but I'm going to say Roman Reigns keeps the belt. I think he will lose the title at Mania. I think he'll ultimately lose it either to Triple H, which would be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing it happen just to see Triple H lose it to someone else. But I really think that with what they're doing with Roman Reigns and how strong, no pun intended really, but how strong they've made him look on television, it's going to be difficult to get the belt off him.
I have an early prediction. The title will be held up at the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
The championship will be held up.
Why do you think this? This is interesting.
Because they need time to get more players into the game and more steam behind certain individuals. Reigns is doing well. Reigns has been doing well. The rest of the world is finally just seeing it because who they're putting across the ring from him. They also brought out Vince to try to get him over, and it finally worked. Thank you, Philly.
Yeah, amen to that.
But I think the logical thing, if it comes down to the final two in the Royal Rumble, if Roman goes from 1 to 30 and Triple H stays in there, why not have Triple H clothesline Reigns? Reigns holds on to Triple H. They both go over. They hit the floor at the same time. Title vacant.
Wow. I think this would make the vacant... This would make vacant like a 12-time world champion.
Yeah, pretty much, at least. Now, I'm watching what the League of Nations is doing to Kalisto on SmackDown right now, and I just think that, once again, it's same old stuff. They're using the number 4. They're keeping a championship on 1. There's only one person in the League of Nations that I want to see as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Wade Barrett?
Bad News Barrett. I think he is the best spokesman of the 4. Del Rio is boring. Rusev, kind of like the Charlie Brown teacher on steroids.
Yes.
And
but the luckiest man in America because he's got Lana to go home to.
What kind of roofies did he give her?
GHB in full supply.
GH Borscht. There you go. Oh, Lord. Not GHB, GH Borscht.
Now, the question is, going in the back door or in the front door?
No, that's Sunny in China.
Oh, it's always sunny in China. Thank you.
They could always do a team up, call it Shiny China. Sunset Dishes.
Sunny side up. China, sunny side up.
Table for 2, entrance and rear.
We could do this all day. 2 girls, 1 cup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, we've seen that before.
Yeah, pretty much. There was another one I was trying. I've got the formulated processes in my head, and I may have to wait till Saturday morning. I'm going to just totally screw Shane Knowles up.
So, championship game this weekend. Who are you picking for the bowl?
Oh, tell you what, we're going 20 more minutes. We're just going to take it to the top of the hour.
Okay, let's do this.
You're screwed. You thought you were going to get to work on time tomorrow, didn't you?
Oh, I'm off tomorrow.
You nutsack. Okay, this coming weekend, you got it, the AFC Championship game Sunday, 3:05 Eastern Time for the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. 5:40 Central, 6:40 Eastern Time for the NFC title game, Arizona and Carolina. I don't know why I thought Carolina was going to have to make the road trip over to Arizona, but fortunately you've got Arizona coming into Carolina, and that's the game that's got me torn. We spoke about this a little bit last night on the To Be Determined show here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network, but I'm going to let you start first with the AFC title game, New England versus Denver.
You know, I was talking to my dad about this the other day, when you look at the two teams, when you look at the Patriots and you look at the Broncos, you got two quarterbacks there that are just unreal. It's kind of hard because Brady and Manning are both at this point in their careers where we could be seeing them more Manning than Brady, kind of heading out the door soon. I would love to see Peyton Manning get to the Super Bowl one more time because I have a tremendous amount of respect for that guy, and I think I'd like to see him go out relatively on top, and I say relatively because we all know where I'm aiming for the Super Bowl. But I have a lot of respect for him. As far as the Patriots go, I've never been a fan of theirs, whether it was Deflategate or any of the other stuff that they did. I'm just not a fan. You see these bandwagoners that come out of nowhere saying, they're the dynasty and all that crap. To me, if they didn't have the benefit of what they've gotten away with over time, I just don't think that there'd be anything really worth celebrating for them. So I'm going to say that I'd like to see the Broncos win.
As it stands, Denver is supposed to have some pretty decent weather this coming Sunday. If my notes are correct, it's right now it's probably around 20 degrees, but the high should be in the mid 40s, lower 50s this coming Sunday, depending on exactly what front or what winter storm is going through. My question is, how healthy is Peyton? My question is, okay, bullet point club, here we go. 1, how healthy is Peyton? 2, how many weapons does Tom Brady still have in the arsenal that are healthy? Number 3, how many weapons can Denver lay down a running game against the New England defense to take them off guard to the point where Brady can throw? Try it again. Can Denver lay down a running game that is strong enough to throw off New England's defense to where Peyton can throw and throw comfortably? You're talking about two of the most prolific passers. And remember, Peyton was out part of the season. Peyton right now is thrown for close to 2,250 yards, 9 passing touchdowns. Remember, he was out part of the year. Brady this year, 402 out of 624, 4,770 yards, 36 passing touchdowns. Damn.
Pretty phenomenal stats.
Yeah. I mean, I got to give the devil his due. I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't care what anybody thinks. I am not a fan of the New England Patriots. Never have been. I'm a huge fan of Rob Gronkowski. I do like Julian Edelman. Danny Amendola is a great player. I'm sorry, I still have to sit back and say that New England's rushing game is non-existent. It's, at least in my perspective, it is. And I think that they have the same problem for the most part, with the exception of a little bit, because I know Hillman and Anderson have combined for like 1,600 yards this season, which is cool as hell. And for a Peyton Manning team to have 2 rushers in that realm is not bad. But like I said, they've got to establish a running game early in order to back up New England's defense so that he can get the ball to whoever is going to be healthy enough to play, whether it be Demaryius Thomas or Jordan Norwood.
Well, if you look at statistics-wise, 2013, Denver defeated New England to go to the Super Bowl. 2014, New England beat Denver 43-21 in Week 9 of that season. 2015, in Week 12, Denver beat New England 30-24. To me, it seems like Denver kind of has the upper hand.
Right now, if my notes are correct, New England's giving away 3 in the overset for 44.5.
Wow.
That is according to and courtesy of scoresandodds.com.
Okay.
The line's been the same all week. 3 for New England all the way across. And the over went 44, 44, 44, 4.5. Coming over to the game that you're going to be looking at, I want Denver to win. I really do. So I'm going to say that. I think Denver can overcome the odds, but it's going to take everybody in line. The stars have to line up to beat the Patriots. Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. Carolina giving away 3. The over is 48.
That's a lot of points. It does have the potential to be a very high-scoring game. If you look at, again, looking statistically, Arizona has pretty well had Carolina's number. 2011 Week 1, 28-21, Arizona. 2013 Week 5, 22-6. And then 2014, Carolina won 27-16. This has been a tough rivalry between these two teams. They're both very good. Cam Newton playing out of his mind. MVP, definitely. I don't think you can give it to anybody else in the league this year. Also, when you look at just the combined talent of both the defense and the offense, I think Carolina is finally in a place where they can establish the run. I would not be surprised if we saw Jonathan Stewart with at least 2 touchdowns and Cam Newton with at least 1 as far as a rushing touchdown. When you're looking at just the overall, maybe the points that they're describing is a little bit more than I would necessarily say. I would be willing to say that it's more of a 27-24 kind of game, but maybe it's more like 17-14. Just because of the possibilities that the defenses both show up. But I'm going to have to go with my guys. I'm going to have to go with Carolina. And then as we head to the Super Bowl, I think we're going to see a Denver and Carolina Super Bowl, which I believe that Denver could very well blow up in the middle of a game against Carolina. I don't think Carolina would have as much trouble with Denver as they would with New England.
My heart wants Arizona to win for one person, Larry Fitzgerald. The linear logical side of my brain says that I will take the Panthers in the over because I think it will be a 7-point win. Actually, I've said 5. I have a world of respect for the Carolina Panthers. I think that they've done a remarkable job this year. I still have to smile sitting back going, man, my Falcons got humbled by them 1 week and 2 weeks later they win convincingly.
That's true. And that was a tough game to watch also because if anybody would have been my predicted loss against Carolina would have been it wouldn't have been Atlanta. I would have probably thought New Orleans would have been the team to do it.
Yeah, because God knows Atlanta's had their fits against the freaking Saints.
Got that right. Well, I mean, Carolina and the Saints the Saints and Carolina have always played each other tough too. It was really a surprise for me to see Seattle struggle so much against Carolina because in a lot of times when they play each other, Seattle is the tougher of the two.
Right.
And Carolina just has to pull it out. But this past week, there was no doubt in my mind that Carolina was walking away with that game. After the first 5 minutes of the game, you're kind of like, wow, what is Seattle going to be able to do?
Like I said, I want personally, and I know I'm going to get heat from all of my friends down here, especially who are Barners and Auburn fans more than anything else, because it's like I've bestowed the virtues of Cameron Artis-Payne. I've bestowed the virtues of Cam Newton. I respected him when he played at Alabama. Played at Auburn. The minute he left Auburn, I praise God and get him the hell out of here. Write another check. Get him out of here. You wrote a check to get him here. Write another one. Get him out. Put it on the Visa card. I'm sure he don't take American Express. But, like I said, there's a part of me that knows that Larry Fitzgerald is heading into the twilight of his career. I know he's getting ready to call it a run. The man's had an impressive career. He has been you talk about class act, and you look that up in the encyclopedia, the thesaurus, the Urban Dictionary. You bet your funkin' wagnalls you will find a picture of Larry Fitzgerald right beside the term class act. I would love for him to win an NFL championship and carry a ring with him off into the sunset. There's a part of me, like I said, I'm not ruling it out. And I'm just going to go ahead and revise my statement. This to me I'm going to go back to what I said Saturday. If it came down to it, this is going to be a pick'em. This is going to come down to the fourth quarter. I'm going back to my original statement. This is probably going to come down to the last team who has the ball. The team that capitalizes on the mistakes the team that is in the right place, the right time, doing the right thing. Pick them.
You might be right. Last Hail Mary, last kind of last ditch effort, or whatever team it is. You're right. I can't disagree with you there, because the teams that pretty much anytime you get to the conference championship, all 4 teams are a legitimate threat, no matter what. I mean, you have to respect all 4 teams that are there. So it could be interesting.
It is. It is. Like I said, it's going to hurt one way or the other, because half of me is going to lose. I mean, if Carolina loses, that means, that Alabama connections drifted off to the wayside, but yet he's got them all the way to this far. And if Arizona loses, once again, one of the best players to never win a national world championship or the NFL championship is going to go without that ring one more year.
If Carolina ends up going to the bowl and comes up short, I will be so sad. Ever since New England and Carolina played in 2004, and it came down to that last stupid play, it's always been for me personally, I wanted to see Carolina and New England go back to the Super Bowl and have Carolina win. And for me, if Carolina wins the Super Bowl this year and they don't win another playoff game for the next 5, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. A lot of fans would be upset with that, but to me, it's going to happen at some point. Let's go ahead and let's get it done. Let's see them keep pounding, and I don't care who they play, but part of me would like to see them beat the Patriots.
If it comes down to it, I would rather have Peyton Manning. Look, with all due respect, if it came down to the factor of Peyton and Cam, I think that would be probably the true passing of the torch. The vanguard will have been changed due to the fact that, if Peyton goes out on top, even by 1 point, people are going to look at Carolina and go, that is an anointing. Oh, yeah.
I would say so as well. I completely agree. I mean, when you've got that kind of generational gap, I guess you could say, just between the 2 different types of player, it would be really neat.
Well, brother, if you would, I'm going to go ahead and toss it the way I normally do, even though this is your show. Stan Grubb, call it out. Last call.
Well, it's been a pleasure joining everybody. And the going thought process here is this is where we're going to be doing this on a Thursday basis. We may change it up a little bit. Eddie and I are still kind of hammering out the scheduling. So just keep your eyes on Twitter and also to our brand spanking new Facebook page. Can't believe it. I actually made a Facebook page. I might actually promote this Facebook page.
That's a scary thought.
Suck it, Corey. Corey always gives me a hard time because I never, quote unquote, never show him the support for the Wrestle Rage page. He does such a good job promoting it. To be honest with you, I never feel like I'm doing it right. But hey, if you get a chance, check out the Corner to Corner Facebook page. There's not a whole lot up there right yet, just some basic stuff. It should be facebook.com/corner2corner, I believe is how it's set up. If it's not, then just let me know and I'll make sure I post the address up on Twitter. You can follow the show account at Corner to Corner SG, or you can follow myself at Stan from Krypton. Again, if you don't know where some of these references come from, what have you been doing with your life? Because if you know me at all, you know I'm a Superman fanatic and a wrestling fan, and that's where I'm pretty much living. I will be back on the air most likely Sunday night, whether it's here from my house or on the road with my buddies, depending. I assume we're going to do some kind of a post-show for Royal Rumble. Is that correct, Eddie?
That is a conceivable possibility.
Unless the snow just totally drowns me out, which 30 inches, brother, it could certainly do that.
I'm going to ride my moped up there.
Oh, cool. That means if Tuesday night, you might actually show up.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it is no joke. This weather that's coming in, Virginia is freaking out. And Virginia is no stranger to snow. But, it's a mess. Go to Walmart, you won't find anything on the shelves right now. But again, thanks so much for listening to us, everybody. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. If you've got any questions, concerns, comments, gripes, or bitches, please send them on over. Let me know. And I'll be happy to get you some answers, and we maybe even read your stuff on air. We definitely try to interact. Rob and Brian will be joining me, I believe, this coming week. I don't know if they're going to do a live air or not, or if we're going to just do a pre-record and put it up there. Got to figure out some schedules, but very soon you're going to see things continue to grow here, and we're very excited. So thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network on the Royal Rumble post show. And I know are you doing the Saturday, the Shooters Gallery on Saturday?
Yeah, let me run this down real quick. This coming live programming will resume on Beyond Ringside Sports Radio Saturday, January the 23rd, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. The Shooters Gallery in full force. Yours truly, along with Shane Knowles and Robert Cosper, as we're going to take a look at everything going on, and there's a lot happening right now. The trifecta in play normally on Sunday the 24th. Rumble weekend. Beyond Ringside Live will be going live at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be going back to back with episodes of the Midnight Black Mass starring Reverend Dan Wilson and Andrew Alexander this coming Sunday. Looking forward to that. And like I said, if things work out, we will be doing a post show. Keep your eyes open and ears open on the station itself. We're going to keep all the methodologies open. And of course, Back to Basics will be returning on Tuesday the 26th. Hold that thought. Let me get it right, kids. Global Championship Wrestling's GCW Radio will be kicking in on January 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific Time. Back to Basics will kick off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific Time this week. Once again, GCW Radio will be taking the lead spot at 8 p.m. Central Time. Back to Basics kicks over right after that. And the To Be Determined show will be on hold for the 27th. They will be returning on Wednesday, February the 3rd, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific Time. Sorry, Ted, I'll get the Mountain Time Zone in there sooner or later. And for our friends in the southeastern U.S., I want to remind you, Saturday night, January the 30th, Pell City, Alabama, Pell City Civic Center. Global Championship Wrestling presents Regeneration. Main event will be a fatal 4-way elimination match for the vacated GCW Heavyweight Championship. We will have a brand new champion Saturday, January 30. AJ Steele, Clyde Braddock, Spiral, Mudbone in the main event. Also, women's challenge match. Veronica Fairchild takes on Priscilla Kelly. Special guest referee, the GCW Women's Champion, Calm Like a Bomb, Pandora. Got a lot of things we're going to be covering this coming Tuesday on GCW Radio. Definitely check it out. At Beyond Ringside on Twitter, Facebook.com/Beyond Ringside Live, and of course, BeyondRingside.com. And for me personally, in just a few hours, I look forward to seeing everybody at Buffalo Wild Wings in Alabaster at the Promenade Shopping Center. Friday night karaoke kicks off at 9 p.m. Central Time. Always fun for family, fun for friends. If you like to sing, if you know someone who does, or if you're just looking to get the hell out the house for a little while, drop by, say hi. Buffalo Wild Wings, Alabaster, Alabama, at the Promenade Shopping Center. And find me on the web at fasteddylane.com. Stan?
And with that, folks, I did double check the Facebook address. It is Corner to Corner Show. So facebook.com/Corner to Corner Show. Sorry for the confusion on that. And we'll see you next week. Thanks again for joining us. Any feedback or input, please send it on over. We'll see you next week.